تمال إسرائيل جنبوت تجابيت سواء جنبار حرنة إرترا بمخنيات كتصالي وصعاتهم وصعات درابيتاتهم من قست زاجيت فتح سلازي خبلو نحوارون زت أمام تسفاس سلازي هذا كتصالي أدماتات سلزو عليه من قستون تفتات دسكيلو عيلو نتشجر المفتاح بستخايدو قتصل تأخيراتات تجادلتي رئيساتهم من سمعتاتهم من أول اسم بلاتهم والناس حافي نتشجر نايمود أفتح كركبلو ناي جنبار جبأي كنت تأمين موزنا بريا بزحت على الجزية كجبر نتوتوت كنت أبغى شجرات كأستف لالينا يلمعتن كال مدباتن أو نزيفو باجت كسل علو وسين الله بزي كازون كال وسانيتات حليف الله والناس حافي كزيو من قصة إرترات وإساس أفوركي نزيا ملكتو لومي زهو مجلس الدماء دحرزينا كنقرب لكم هنا.
أنتي بزعبة زمن كاب أسمرا يونيفرسيتي استسنبتو 34 نمهران التملكات هي أبد حالف عمد محدد سمستر مالت علي 44 زخون جزء أب أسمرا يونيفرسيتي بمنبرنت درجة أجل سلازنا وركو زعبة أنا مبزوط أم كوزم تزوجكم زلوا نمهران بقعة ناي سرح تقعة أخالي مردعتا اللي إلى سلازة أمن نجاتهم من السنبات نتي يونيفرسيتين نتي هاجرين زقودو فاينو يسمعني بس مقنعت يونيفرسيتي معصاو نبعلو تخطلو سعدين بقللو الزقمات أي مثلا نحور ون نتي يونيفرسيتي كما يجرو كم زغلسل بزح سقعات اللي كم سنة دليكا إذا حجي أب يونيفرسيتي تفتلو زلو هاهو بقعت زلوهم إريتراوين بحلفتا كابوسائي نخمسو ذتابع قينو هيرعاني أب كان بحطوي كملس إذي ناي من السنبات والساني بتا نزي قداي كتساري زقامت شماقلة ذهبتو سبساب وي ريكومنديشن استنسرة المخانو دكتور آيا سقاي أب ذهبو غازيت أو مجلسي بريهو الله بوجيني أقداسي لعل زلو يقولون نتوجن إذا شماقلة عبد النصرة تلو طبعا جنا سرحة كي جمرت كلها نتيجة توهبا حلفنا بقبو كتمالي بضعتي أي قناتين زبل تقاومو كابتم حلفتي ناي محبر يونيفرسيتي مثلا نتا شماقلة مزوقنا جاوي بريزيدنت نبره دكتور آيا سقاي تجلس له نيرو ناي مقامي أو مهنيات تقول سوالو زقربوا نتفتا هذا ناي كاز أمت شماغلة نبزت عبالته ناي بريزيدنت نبر عند برهان دقفت سلوزفنو بقبو كدانيو هيكولون اليوم كابز حالفون ناي حدا ناي هنا مفداي منفس ون كلهم يفعلي يزبل فرحات سلازنا ورموهانو وليس أمنيرا إذي أبقمت المتاو قدام من قصدي انتقنا زمد مردوك يمسلك بتم تسنبيتهم زلو من مهران تقاوي مسلهم حلو اللهم يبيت فردي تطرقوا من قصدي يفعل لهم بيو لأني الله
The Eritrean leader, Isaias Afwerki, is one of the participants in the India-Africa Forum Summit that starts in New Delhi on Thursday, 29th October. Eritrea, a small country of 6.5 million people, is located on the coast of the Red Sea in a region known as the Horn of Africa. Following its de jure independence in May 1993, Eritrea has been ruled by one man and one party, Isaias Afwerki. The country imposes what is known as indefinite conscription, where all its citizens, including men and unmarried women, are conscripted into mandatory national service. Besides indefinite conscription, the Afewerki's government is also known to impose severe restrictions on practicing religion other than those recognized or controlled by the government, including Sunni Islam, Ethiopian Orthodox, Catholicism, and Lutheranism. Violations by citizens are punished with arrest. Eritrea has been described as the worst place to be a journalist, repeatedly finishing in the bottom of the Reporters Without Borders Press Freedom Index. The refugee crisis. The exodus has seen nearly 5% of the Eritrea's population leave the country since 2003, when the exodus began. As of December 2014, there are as many as 3,63,077 Eritrean refugees, with nearly 53,662 of those seeking asylum in other countries. Indo-Eritrean relations. According to the Ministry of External Affairs, India's bilateral trade with Eritrea was around 244.73 million in 2014 and 15. India is also among the highest exporters to Eritrea, along with Italy and the UAE.
ኢሳያስ አፈወርቂ ምስ አልጀዚራ ዝገበሮ ቃለ መሕትት ጉንበት 23 2008
one of the accusations from the United States is that Eritrea has supplied arms to the Islamic Courts Union in Somalia. Have you supplied arms to that group?
It looks like you're talking on behalf of the United States and the administration in Washington, and your list of questions seem to be provided by, I don't know, someone in Langley or the administration in Washington. I'm not bothered about these accusations. I can assure you these lies will be repeated again and again with no leverage on the ground.
Okay, let's talk about your recent visit to Iran. What did that trip achieve?
It's part of the long-standing relationship with the Islamic Republic of Iran. The early 60s, 70s, the present Islamic Republic of Iran and the support, the moral support, the struggle for liberation in this country got from the Iranian Revolution has been a landmark in the history of this country and bilateral ties with Iran, and there was nothing new in this relationship. We can imagine going back 3-4 decades when Ayatollah Khamenei was during Friday prayers praying for Eritrea and the freedom of Eritrea. And this visit comes as an expression of solidarity between Eritrea and Iran.
Did you sign any agreements with the Iranians?
Oh, about 3-4 agreements of cooperation.
What are you going to be cooperating in what fields?
All fields: agriculture, manufacturing, mining, trade, name it.
Okay, now let's look at the domestic political situation in Eritrea. When are elections going to be held in Eritrea? There were elections scheduled for 2001. They didn't take place. When is that going to happen?
What elections?
Elections in Eritrea.
We'll see what the elections in the United States will bring about, and we will wait for about 3-4 decades until we see genuine natural situations emerge in Eritrea.
You're saying Eritrea is going to wait 3 or 4 decades before it holds elections?
Maybe more, who knows?
But isn't
that, of course, depending on what you call elections, what you believe in elections, what you think in terms of elections. If you think elections are elections we witnessed in Ethiopia, the elections in Zimbabwe, the elections in Jordan, the elections in Morocco, the elections in Kuwait, if you talk about those elections and the elections in Iraq and the elections in Afghanistan, like the process where the lawyer Jirga was brought about to form a government. If you're talking about these types of elections, I can tell you it may never happen. It may take decades.
Well, aren't elections a central element of a democracy? And if you don't have elections, then you don't have a democracy.
It depends on what you mean by democracy. If you really understand what democracy means, and if you're talking about genuine elections, that's another issue. If you're telling me that the democracy and the elections we have witnessed the last 5 or 10 years, promoted by the United States as a separate agenda to serve its interests in a number of regions of this world, I can tell you these are not elections for us. This is not democracy for us. If you mean democracy is polarizing society vertically, that's not democracy for us. And these days it becomes very fashionable for people to talk about democracy when society is divided and polarized along ethnic, religious lines, and we are not party to that kind of democracy.
Well, are you prepared to tolerate any kind of opposition in Eritrea?
What kind of opposition? Agents hired by the CIA from Langley, or opposition from inside, or any kind of opposition?
There was something of a crackdown against the opposition by the Eritreans, by your government in 2001. Journalists
Never, not at all. Not at all. You are disinformed. There has never been any opposition in this country. This is a total lie. And if you're talking about a political process, that is a different matter. If you're talking an opposition that has been fabricated and created by Langley, then you would call that an opposition. I would not call that an opposition.
Well, but you did close down the free press, and, you know, just to get to some specifics, there were 2 Eritreans who worked for the U.S. Embassy in Asmara who were imprisoned. They have not been put on trial yet.
You're coming back again with the same list of questions provided to you by the State Department or the CIA, and you're trying to make this issue a political issue in the name of Al Jazeera International. I can assure you, freedom of press, if you mean the press that is financed by conglomerates in the world, financed by military industry in the world, if you think the financing and managing of media, the CNN, BBC, or even Jazeera military industry in the world, if you think the financing and managing of media, the CNN, BBC, or even Jazeera, there has never been any opposition in this country. This is a total lie. And if you're talking about a political process, that is a different matter. If you're talking an opposition that has been fabricated and created by Langley, then you would call that an opposition. I would not call that an opposition.
When I was in Sawa, I was really suffered, and then I was sick. Each and every day I was sick. The whole year I was sick in Sawa because of the weather and because of the military, because of everything. And my father doesn't allow me to back to Sawa, and after that I leave Eritrea.
So I understand that your father and your mother were both in the army, and it was your father who said no, he didn't want to see you have that life, and so you managed to escape from the country.
Yeah, when I was in Sawa, after 10 days my father came to visit me to Sawa because he was there, and when he see me he was really angry. He suffered from many things for independence, and when Eritrea get independence also his daughter was suffering because of the regime, the dictator.
So you managed to escape from Eritrea, you went to Sudan and Libya and then on to Europe?
Yes.
How difficult was it for you to make that journey?
It's really difficult. Sometimes I don't want to remember that because it's really hard. It takes for me like 1 month to get Sudan. And then after that I go to Libya through the Sahara. And then after that I was in Libya for 3 months. And then after that we start our journey to cross the sea. I made it also to Italy, and then now I was living in the Netherlands.
So how long did the whole journey take you?
It takes like 2 years. I leave my family in Eritrea. My father also died. I'm the oldest from my family, and my sister and my little brother, he's with me in Netherlands.
So they both managed to escape?
Yes.
And what about your mum?
My mom now, she was with my little sister. They are now still in Eritrea. She also have a problem in her leg because of the war. And it's hard for her to live, but I work hard to help her.
And do you worry about your 12-year-old sister and that she may have to go to Sawa?
Yes, if it's continue like this, maybe after 5 or 6 years she will go to Sawa.
Do you think that will change? Do you think the government will be forced to change?
Now we try to force the government to change this, but we don't get any answer from the government. Many journalists, they write open letters to the president, but he don't answer.
Are you pleased that this report has been released by Human Rights Watch so that people around the world can know the realities of life for people in Eritrea?
Yeah, I hope all the world will feel our pain, will understand our pain also.
And what about your life now? What do you do now?
I'm living good now. I go to school and I work. I work in no hospital, but for the old people place, and then I help the old people. Also, I work in Amsterdam because I love Amsterdam. I was live in near Amsterdam, and then in Amsterdam I make many friends, many Eritrean, and I work also in one club in Amsterdam in the weekend.
That must be such a change to your life when you've just told us about what you had to put up with in Sawa.
Yeah, yes. When people ask me where you from, I say I'm from East Africa, and then I will tell them a little bit from my story, and then all they are shocked.
Well, that is Salam's story. She was speaking to me a little bit earlier on. Well, we also got this audio message in, and I should warn you that some of the details are disturbing.
Hey, my name is Hewitt. I grew up in Germany, but I have plenty of friends and family members who had to go to military high school and serve national service for years. And the stories I heard from them are horrible beyond our imaginations, since these things are done to young people, to very young people who are supposed to be actually nurtured by family. One sad experience I have directly is my cousin, who was 17 when he went to high school, to military high school. And when he was 18, his body was returned dead to my family. We never found out the cause of his death, and my family had just to accept the death just the way it was and could not ask any questions.
Well, we haven't been able to put that particular case to the Eritrean government, but it's one story of many about compulsory military training.
ህዝቢ ኤርትራን ህዝቢ ኢትዮጵያን ክልተ ህዝቢ ይብሉ ትዛረብ ዳር ሄጂ ነቲ ሓቂ ዘይፍልጥ ጥራይ ክልተና ከም ሓደ ህዝቢ ነገርና ከም ሄጂ ኣብ ዶክተር ኣብይ ኣብዘ የድልየኒ ሽግር ኣቲድኒ ክገልፅ ኣይክእልን ስምዒተይ ካብዚ ንላዕሊ የቐንየልና ኣቀባባል ናይ ባሕቂ ጀንዊን ናይ ልቢ ስምዒት ትገልጽ ስለ ዝኾነ ካብዚ ካብ ምስጋና ንላዕሊ ንህዝቢ ኢትዮጵያ ንህዝቢ ኣዲስ ኣበባን ከባቢኣን ፅባሕ ድሕሪ ፅባሕ ህዝቢ ኤርትራን ህዝቢ ኢትዮጵያን ከዓ ናይ ባሕቂ ንዓለም ኣለና ናብዚ ንኸይድ ኣለና ኢሎም ክገልጹ ዘለና እምነት ልዑል ስለ ዝኾነ ደስታና ንሎሚ ንፅባሕ ንድሕሪ ፅባሕ ሙሉእ ዘይጉድል እዩ። ደስ ይበልኩም፣ ደስ ይበለና።